Hi, everybody. I am on webcam with Corinne Donnelly, who is not only a really good friend of mine from way back, but she's also been a narrator for Timeless Tales since the absolute very beginning. We've gotten so much good feedback on Corinne, and you're always so enthusiastic. Like whenever I ask for volunteers, you're always one of the first to be like, yes, I want to do it.
It's the highlight of my year, the 2 times that you email me each year. It's just like, yes, I can finally act.
Exactly. And what a lot of people don't know is that our audio narrators are volunteer only. Our narrators generously donate their time to us, and so we always really appreciate that. So I wanted to give everybody kind of a look behind the scenes of, getting to know the face behind the voice, Yeah, okay, so Corinne, why don't we start out by you just kind of giving us a little bit of a rundown of how you and I know each other.
Well, we met in college, Westmont College. We met through a group of friends initially, and then we got really close when we were roommates, my junior year and your senior year. So, and Tahlia is seriously the best roommate I've ever had. So,
some bad ones though.
Yeah.
But still.
But yeah, and then our friendship carried on, and actually I was in her wedding party, and she was in my wedding party.
That's right, we were. Okay, and something that's kind of interesting about you, since we do a lot of volunteer work, I kind of will, I rope in friends and acquaintances from all over the place. I'll kind of take everybody, and you're kind of unique though, because you actually do have kind of official voice acting training, right? Am I right? That you've actually taken classes and stuff like that? How has that kind of come about?
Well, the classes that I took came about because I was looking for an agent at the time. It was right after I graduated from college, and I moved back home briefly before I moved to LA to pursue acting. And I found out that there were some voice acting classes in my area, so I didn't have to drive all the way to LA and back, because at the time that was hour, 30-minute drive with traffic, and that was no fun. So I took a couple classes at Dell Media Arts with Bud and Bunny Barth, and Bud Barth actually is known for doing the voice of Fred Flintstone.
Oh, okay.
So that was really fun. And then actually after I moved to LA, that background classes helped me find an agent. So.
Yeah, and it's something that, I get so many compliments from our authors whenever you do, their stories. I personally have always felt sometimes your voice sounds like a Disney princess, but other times, you manage to, make it, really, haunting, and, it's just, you're so flexible, and I think it really shows. One of the other people I'm going to be interviewing, actually, it's you and my friend Jeff. He's, my go-to guy for accents. And you're my other go-to when I've got a story that I'm okay, this is either challenging or will be absolutely epic if it's done really, really well. I'm this one's going to Corinne.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I've definitely kind of noticed sometimes the challenging ones, because they're usually the ones that have words that are hard to pronounce.
Oh
so I always
yes.
look it up, I Google it, and then I have to listen to the word pronunciations on YouTube or on dictionary.com. It's let's practice this a couple of times before I say it, and maybe I'll do a couple renditions just in case.
Yeah, and that's totally another reason why I value you, is that I do sometimes have narrators who, if there's a word that they have no idea how to pronounce it, they just guess, and then they're wrong, and then I have to send it back and be actually, I hate to make you do this. And it's and I know that you'll do the research ahead of time to get it right the first time, which saves me a lot of time later on, So something that I've always been curious is do you have a favorite story that you either read or narrated or anything like that?
Well, I have a couple of answers for this. I personally have a strong connection to Jude Tooley's story because that's the first one I ever did for the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually, I also write book reviews for an entertainment website, and he actually came back to me and asked me to review one of his novellas. So I have a special place in my heart for his stories. But then also I had a ton of fun narrating the Ruthless by Adam Barron. That was the Baba Yaga issue. That was just, normally I'm kind of hesitant about different, like, unique formats. So, like, he did the blog entry format for that story. So when I saw it, I went, oh no, I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to do this. And I kind of sat on it for a few days, and then I realized that it was actually ingenious to do it that way, because I could take like a little brief like moment before each entry, and then I could kind of progressively get more insane. Which was a lot of fun, and it was fun to say and fun to voice and also emote. I know that Grant was downstairs when I was recording it, and he heard like everything that I was doing, especially towards the end when I was just going like off the chart crazy. And I'm sure he probably had to keep his laughter silent because he can't make any noises while I'm recording. Grant's my husband, FYI.
People that don't know, because like I would never expect that anybody watching this has like read every single story in every issue. The first story that you're referring to, Jude Tooley's, is Secret Goddess, which is a Psyche retelling. That's kind of like about her being tried in front of Aphrodite, right?
Harlot. The air between them froze with the goddess's contempt as the veins on her forehead glimmered a beautiful shade of blue. Never mind the grime that lives on your face and hands and underneath your fingernails. You somehow believe you are more beautiful than I. And you somehow managed to seduce my son Cupid, whom I fear must be going blind. She knew then how a fly must feel, cornered by a spider in its web. Make haste and finish it, she shouted. Fire burst from 40 mouths at once. They missed. Her hands were free. But Mercury was nowhere to be seen. Underworld be damned, she said, and jumped.
And then the other story you're talking about, Ruthless, that one's one of my favorites too, where it's a Baba Yaga retelling where she's blogging, but she's like, she works at a weather station. I think she's like either an intern or like just like an assistant or something like that, I think. And it's like all about her like finding something that like makes it so that she can like predict the weather, I think, right? And then she just like, oh, there's like an app or something, and like it's a secret app that only she knows about, and like it ends up like taking over her life because she like gets all this fame, and it just goes to her head, and she goes like super crazy, and it's great,
To be truthful, Wednesday, June 30th. Happy Wednesday to my precious minions. Kidding, of course. I mean family, friends, readers, and all of the above. I thought I'd update y'all on the internship. It's going great. Better than great, actually. Friday, July 2nd. Hello once again to y'all 900 people of Pestle. Yes, I assume you're all readers. Mwahahaha. I have some sad but exciting news. I mean, sad news. Definitely just sad news. Jake was ill today. I hope you feel better, good sir. And guess who had to step up and give the holiday weekend forecast? Yep, this girl. Dun dun dun! Watch out, Jake. Maybe I'll start channeling Ruthless and come after your job. Nah, JK. We all know Ruthless went away after graduation. She only comes out to play when there's tequila. I mean, what? I don't drink. Love, Ruthie G.
Lots of fun. It's always fun to do the crazy ones.
Okay, so what are some of your, like, favorite fairy tales and myths that we have or haven't covered, or maybe we haven't covered it and you're kind of thinking, like, oh, I really hope that they do this one someday?
You're gonna laugh at this, but
Yeah.
Hades and Persephone.
Oh my gosh, yes! Of course.
Absolutely. And of course, right, and this is an inside joke for us because we did a role-playing campaign in college where you played Persephone, so that makes total sense.
Yep. I feel like it'd be an easy one too because you could take it from many different perspectives because there's also like the mother-daughter perspective with Demeter and Persephone and
Well, and lots of fairy tale crossover potential too, right? Like I could see it's easily a Beauty and the Beast crossover. Right? Definitely has been on my list for sure. Why do you particularly like?
As you mentioned, the Beauty and the Beast aspect of it. I've always seen that parallel, like subconsciously, I guess.
Yeah.
And I've always been fascinated by the Disney movie, and then I also read a lot of retellings of Beauty and the Beast. Like the YA books, there are millions, hundreds of them. Kind of seeing that dynamic between those two stories has always fascinated me.
Okay, cool. Okay, we're gonna do a rapid fire round of quick responses. Just a bunch of kind of get to know you questions, real quick. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, what is your Hogwarts house?
Gryffindor, and Pottermore has confirmed it.
Okay, favorite superhero?
Jessica Jones.
Oh.
Yeah, I have to say her.
Okay.
What would be your real life superpower if you had one?
Definitely, I do not have the ability to ever be late to anything.
That is
I'm always,
super
I'm always at least 10 to 15 minutes early.
What is your least favorite punctuation mark? And I ask this because you are not just, like, you weren't just interested in acting, you are also an English major. So I know that you have opinions on these things.
I do. I'm going to have to say exclamation point because it's overused. Yeah, well, the thing is that if you're a good writer, you want to show, not tell. And when you use exclamation points, it kind of takes away from it overemphasizes your intentions. Like, your reader should be able to tell if someone is, if the dialogue, if someone is like angry or upset about something or really excited, you shouldn't have to use an exclamation point.
What is the current song that you've got on repeat?
Wild Wild West, Will Smith.
Whoa, that is...
Throwback, I know.
Wow, that's old.
I got kind of on a nostalgia kick recently, and I was listening to like these YouTube mixes. One of the songs I was listening to had the Wild Wild West like chorus throughout, and it just got stuck in my head, and I can't get it out. I had to go back and re-listen to the original after I heard it in the remix, because I was like, oh, I remember that song, it was great, and now it's stuck in my head for all of eternity.
I just watched that movie for the first time like 4 or 5 months ago.
Really?
Yes, and it was like, I wasn't really missing out. Okay, I think I know the answer to the next question I'm going to ask, but we'll see. What Disney princess are you? I think we're the same Disney princess.
Belle.
Yeah, okay, yep, yep, for sure. And I figured with your love of Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, that too.
Yes, and reading, and yep. Okay, let's just move on to what is your Myers-Briggs type?
INFJ, which is allegedly the rarest type, but I feel like maybe it's just because INFJs like flock to each other. I feel like all of my friends, at least most friends in my friend group, including Grant, are all INFJs. So.
That's so funny. I have the exact same thing with, I'm an INTJ, and every time I bring that up, people that are also INTJs say, and we're the rarest type, which goes to show you. I think that maybe we're the rarest type for women, although again, at least the people that are kind of my age and women, like, we all seem to be INTJs. We seem to just gravitate towards each other. And you want to explain very quickly what the letters mean.
Oh, yeah. Introversion is I, and then N is intuition.
Which is like creativity.
Yeah. And then F is feeling, and J is judging.
Yep. Which is like analytical. Yep. And the opposites are E for extrovert, S for sensing, which is kind of like more concrete, straightforward, practical thinking versus creative, and then T for thinking and P for perceiving, which means like you're flexible and spontaneous.
Wishy-washy.
Yeah. What was that?
Wishy-washy.
Wishy-washy is so true, yeah. And J's are called, and you know why it's called, like we could have been A for analytical, but no, they decided to go with J for judging, and it's because of that, because we judge the perceivers super hard. Like, I feel like you're a J because you're, like, perceivers are not that way at all. Perceivers are usually totally chill with judgers, but judgers are totally judgy about perceivers. It's so true. Yep. Okay, and very last, most trivial yet controversial belief that you hold.
So, I hated The Last Jedi, like, with a passion. I think it's the worst Star Wars movie.
Okay.
But I loved Rogue One.
Yes.
As in, it's my favorite Star Wars movie now.
Okay.
So, my trivial but controversial opinion is I am on the fence about the Disney takeover. So, I don't approve of it, but I also don't disapprove of it. Which feels like I've never met anyone who's kind of just, like, neutral about Disney taking over Star Wars. So, I feel like if the Han Solo movie, if I end up seeing it and it's horrible, in my opinion, then I probably will kind of tip to disapprove of Disney taking over Star Wars. But for now, I'm just on the fence.
Okay. So your very strong opinion is that you are neutral. You are strongly neutral. Okay, well, that's all I've got. Thank you, Corinne, for hanging out and chatting with me. Just a reminder to all of our viewers that are audio narrators and are volunteers, and that if you want to help support the magazine and want to be able to listen to Corinne reading some of our stories, you can check that out on our Patreon page, which you can find on our website. So, yeah. Oh, I actually have one more thing for you. Hold on. Really quick. Something that we just recently put up on our Patreon page is Timeless Tales t-shirts.
Ooh.
So, as a plug for the t-shirt, we'll just show it to the camera.
I like the colors.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So we now have Timeless Tales t-shirts available on our Patreon page. And as a thank you, I wanted to know if you would maybe be interested in me sending you one.
Yes.
I'll get your sizing and we'll send one off to you. Since, we don't pay our narrators, I figured it'd be a nice way to say thank you. And then you can sport your love of the magazine everywhere you go. So thanks so much, and we'll talk later.
Sounds good.
Now, here's the funny thing. Most people think stilt skins avoid eye contact because we're hiding something. The truth is, we're hiding from everything we can see in other people's eyes. The shoe was indeed trashed, to the point the worn-down tread was separating from the uppers.
Of course, you understand we issued the challenge only after all other avenues had been explored, the headmaster explained. But the boys either cannot or will not provide an answer. The coach, the dormitory assistant, and even the school's mascot have been housed with the team for a night, and none have been able to discover why this is happening. To be truthful,
It followed her like a loyal dog. Yes, I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? Come along. I have plenty of work. 1 or 2 chores should be enough. Kay squeezed the bundle close. Look, he said, I've been thinking. Not all trolls are evil. Maybe some just want to be left alone. Gerda took the bundle and unrolled it on the ground. It was full of long metal rods. Gerda stuck one into the soft earth. This is justice, she said. This is right. We won't let anyone else be changed by their wicked designs. But it's such a beautiful... Look at those gnarled faces. She waved her hand at the sleepers. They're ugly little people eaters. There's a giant with a giant nose and giant snot. Her nose wrinkled. Gross. They're just children. They come in all shapes and sizes. I was ugly when I had acne. A new pimple bloomed every day until I lived in the ice palace. Kay stopped and looked at Gerda, who looked away. She wakes the first time in the Spanish sun. 1515 threatens to choke her with its unfamiliarity. She wails at her mother's breast and suckles when she feels like it. Her child's mind is too fragile to hold on to the memories bouncing around the back of her resurrected head. Morgan throws herself at the altar when her mother dies, dons the nun's habit, and ignores the way her palms burn whenever she brings them together to pray. Then malaria shudders through her core, and suddenly she can see again. The world dances for her like Camelot used to. Her magic sings across the canvas of her skin. She hears stories of her brother-nephew, Arturo y sus caballeros. In the quiet of night, she wonders what those stories say about her. When she dies in this life, she dies a saint. God's voice rings in her ears, and Morgan sees a lake. And the gathered group of whitecoats behind. This ability had grown throughout the preliminary trials. She'd turned water to ice, split light into its spectrum, quenched fire with her mind. But this, she could never do it. Iron into gold. Alchemy. She closed her eyes and pushed her awareness into the metal. Its structure opened to her, flaked shards almost like roses. So beautiful. There's no use stalling, Dr. Koenig growled. A stabbing sensation jolted through her wrists, then coursed through her body in waves. Her head thrust back, ears filling with the roaring of water. Her jaw clamped shut. She couldn't even cry out. The pain subsided slowly, and the intercom clicked on. That was not punishment. Koenig's voice wore a mask of patience. That was aid. I believe if you try again, you will be. I am a lake. I am water, that out of which everything is born. I have a million memories. She was a queen, tall and sinuous, with black eyes, opal skin, and a voice sweet like deceit. But she had the phases of the moon under her tongue, and the night's mist in her heart. She said the words, and once they were all out of her mouth, I felt my body harden and shrink. The fishes, frogs, and water snakes, the drifting leaves and broken twigs froze around me in an intricate frame. The next day, the castle folk saw I was gone, and prayed to every god they knew, because my disappearance was clearly the sign of some ending.